The sun was bright over the city, but Adrian Hale felt as if the world had dimmed long ago. He stepped out of his small apartment, tightening the collar of his only decent shirt, the one he saved for job interviews and parent-teacher meetings. Today, he wasn't doing either. Today, he was going on a blind date, the first in 6 years. The idea alone felt wrong, like he was betraying a ghost. His late wife, Mara, had died after a sudden illness that took her from him and their daughter in just 4 days. Since then, Adrian had lived like a man walking with half a heart. But his co-workers insisted, his sister begged, and even his 9-year-old daughter, Rowan, whispered, "Dad, maybe someone nice will help you smile again." And so he forced himself out the door, unaware that in a few hours he would see a face that would stop his breath, a face that looked painfully, impossibly like the woman he once loved. If you believe in kindness, healing, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Tales. Your support keeps these real-life-inspired stories alive. Adrian arrived at the café where golden sunlight poured through the tall windows, casting soft afternoon shadows across the room. People laughed, spoons clinked, and the scent of roasted coffee wrapped the air in warmth. Adrian stood by the entrance, his palms damp, his chest tight with an anxiety he hadn't known since Mara's last days. The waitress pointed him toward a table near the window, and then he froze. Sitting there, looking up with a gentle smile, was a woman whose face shook him to his bones. Her hair, the same warm shade of hazelnut. Her eyes, the same soft brown that Mara had. Even the shape of her lips, the curve of her cheeks, they were nearly identical. Adrian's vision blurred for a second, as though the world had shifted and placed a memory right in front of him. His instinct was to run. Instead, he swallowed hard and approached. Her name was Alara Finch. She stood to greet him, sunlight catching the strands of her hair, making her look like a mirage. Adrian managed a tight smile, sitting opposite her while trying to steady the storm inside him. She talked first, easing the tension, her voice warm and calm. She told him she was a teacher, loved art, lived with her younger sister, and had recently moved to the city for a fresh start. Adrian kept nodding, but his chest burned with the weight of old grief. Every time he lifted his eyes and saw her face, it felt like he was betraying Mara's memory. And yet, he didn't want to leave. Something about Alara's presence softened the ache he'd carried for too long. As they talked, the sunlight outside shifted, washing the café in a soft, golden glow. Adrian found himself opening up despite his fear. He told Alara about Rowan, his little girl who loved painting, soccer, and chasing pigeons in the park. He mentioned losing Mara, his voice breaking, but Alara didn't flinch. Instead, she placed a hand over her heart and said she was sorry in a way that felt like a balm rather than pity. She told him he didn't need to hide his hurt with her. For the first time in years, Adrian felt seen, but inside, he battled a storm. Part of him wanted to walk away, convinced this resemblance was a sign to stay alone, to remain loyal to his past. Another part, small, trembling, hopeful, wanted to believe that life sometimes sent people not to replace what was lost, but to gently remind the heart it could still feel warmth. Alara wasn't Mara. She was someone new, someone alive, someone kind. And yet he was terrified of wanting something again. After an hour, Adrian's phone buzzed with Rowan's message asking for a picture of the dessert he promised he'd bring home. Adrian laughed softly. Alara immediately brightened and told him he should bring something for his daughter with extra sprinkles. She even helped him choose a pastry that looked like a tiny sun. They walked out of the cafe together, daylight fading into softer hues. Adrian didn't know whether to ask for a second meeting or apologize for being distant. Before he could decide, Alara gently spoke. "I know I look like someone you lost," she said quietly, her eyes full of understanding he hadn't expected. "I could feel it in the way you looked at me. I'm not her, but I'm not trying to replace her either. I just Hope you find whatever peace you're searching for, whether it's with me or without me." Adrian's chest tightened. Not with grief this time, but with gratitude. No one had ever spoken to him with such gentle honesty. He didn't respond immediately. Instead, he walked her to her car, both of them wrapped in the quiet sound of passing traffic and fading daylight. But just as he turned away, Rowan called him through a video chat, and Alara saw her, the little girl with big curious eyes. Rowan waved at her father, then shyly at Alara, asking, "Dad, who's that lady?" Adrian froze, but Alara knelt down slightly to wave at Rowan through the screen, introducing herself as someone who helped pick a treat that Rowan would love. Rowan giggled, thanked her, and before Adrian could end the call, she whispered, "Dad, she seems nice. Maybe you can smile again." Tears stung Adrian's eyes. Those were the exact words Rowan had told him when she encouraged him to go on the date. Alara stepped back, giving him space, but Adrian reached for her hand without thinking. It was warm, real, steady. "Would you like to meet again?" he finally asked, his voice fragile but sincere. Alara smiled, different from Mara's he noticed now. Softer, a little playful, a little hopeful. "I'd like that," she said. As they parted ways, Adrian felt something shift inside him. Not a replacement, not a forgetting, but a quiet opening of a heart that had been closed for too long. Maybe healing didn't arrive like lightning or miracles. Maybe it came gently, in the form of a stranger who resembled the past but carried the promise of a different future. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Tales. Your support helps us bring more emotional and inspiring stories to life. Special request: comment your favorite moment from the story. I'd love to read every one.